Hello guys and welcome back to another locomotive review, and today we have the gorgeous Class 68 by Dapol in Transpennine Express livery, and we're going to have a quick look at this. Well, not really, because it's more of an unboxing review, so it's a bit more in depth, but we're going to have a look at this because this is the loco I received this year for Crimbo, and like, it's beautiful. We're going to have a dead quick look in the box first while it's running in, but it doesn't need much more anyway. And then we'll have a look at the loco's detail and stuff, so let's get to it. There it is, stunning thing. Oh, and there's the 57 as well, which is going to be running with it later. So this is the box. It's big and quite heavy. That's the product code, etc. It's just the back, you don't really need to know anything unless it's just Dapol. So it's quite a big box and quite heavy. I'm gonna how do you do this one-handed? Bear with. Right, once that's off, you get into all the gumps. So it's all these are all DCC guides for the Class 68. So pause that and read it if you would like. And then you've just got the rear parts. It just tells you what all the code numbers do, etc. So don't need that because we're not obviously DCC chipping this locomotive, because I think this is the same. I don't know, it's nice. It tells you about the owner's guide for it. Right, and then you have this little packaging. Oh, another sheet of paper. Oh, this is the warranty, I think, for Dapol. Yeah. There's not really anything important on it. It's just all the warranty and stuff, so don't really need that. So then you get into your box. Now the detail bag is there. I'm not going to get it out because it's like really complicated, these boxes, but it's just the whatever's on the front bumper, not bumper, what the hell, it's a car, and the front buffer beam obviously isn't on the rear because of the coupling, but if you want to take the coupling out and put the same sort of front as you, then you can. The box is incredible. You get like loads of foam around the block of ice packaging, and you get the foam on the top, so the locos are like really nicely secured, which is obviously a good thing because, as we've seen from experience with certain Hornby locos, they weren't packaged well enough. So it's nice that Dapol are protecting their locomotives, but it is a big box, I will say. And I'll conclude the running in there. It doesn't really need any more than that. Had no issues whatsoever. So we will take a look at the detail on this locomotive, and yeah, we'll get to it. So there is the Class 68 by Dapol, and I will say this loco is called Splendid, but it is very splendid. It's superb. You do, by the way, get extra nameplates in the detail bag, which I think is incredible for a locomotive that costs 136 quid, but brand new. Bear in mind, this is a reasonably new tool locomotive. They've only just started coming into the shops, and Dapol are charging 136 at the retailers, around 140, and then you get in similar cost, well, similar sized diesels from other companies with probably the same amount of detail, really, costing 200 plus. So I will say it's a very good loco for the cost as well. It's a very good loco anyway, but you will see just from this shot here, there's a lot of detail on this. So I'll have to run through. We'll try and be as quick as possible, but unfortunately it might take a while. So front buffer beam, all of this stuff. I don't know what any of it is because I'm not an expert on diesels at all, or locos in general. But there's loads of pipe work, all depicted in colour as well. You've got little coupling as well. Don't think you can do anything with that coupling, but I think there's some proper ones in the detail bag that you can swap out. I'm not sure, but you will see some sprung buffers at the front, and they're of an odd shape, but they're like that on the real 68, and they look pretty cool. You've got all that pipe work, loads of detail, like little plates with warning signs on, etc. So it's all so tiny, you probably can't even see it to the naked eye, but you can, like, all the orange little under the upper beam detail there. And they got the little snowplow as well. It looks absolutely sensational. Like, the amount of detail on this locomotive is unbelievable. At the front you do have the Transpennine logo. And then you've got the gorgeous dark blue and obviously the iconic Transpennine bright blue there. I will say that looks fantastic. This is my favourite livery on the Class 68, and the Class 68 is one of my top favourite diesels, so obviously I had to get a 68, and I live near the LMR, the Liverpool to Manchester Railway, and these fly through on their way to Scarborough, so I do see these on occasion, but every time I go to York, they're always there, and I'm like, oh my god, I love them. They are so cool. They're really loud, they look wicked. They are just boss. I do like these a lot. Anyway, more detailing here. We've got these red sort of parts. I don't know what they are, but we have this flipping gorgeous separately fitted windscreen wiper, which is probably one of the most realistic I've ever seen on a locomotive that I've got in my collection. We have the lights here, so lights here and lights here. They do light up, so it's white when it's running towards us, and then these two at the bottom turn red on the reverse, obviously. We have these handrails now. These aren't the most realistic handrails I've ever seen, but at the end of the day, this loco isn't like a £300 loco. But obviously, they're still pretty decent. It's nice to see that they're there, and they are separately fitted, and they're painted into this sort of grey colour. You will see we have the dark blue turns into the light blue as it goes up. It's a slightly different sort of shade, only just compared to the standard light blue, but it's sort of, so it goes into a whitish colour at the top. And then you have obviously got the gorgeous silver here, and it's all painted beautifully. And then you've got the sort of pinkish colour at the bottom, more like purple, but it's pinky sort of purple. And then you've got loads and loads of builder's plates as well. They're the running number 62027 printed very nicely. I probably can't get them on the camera. They are probably illegible though. So it'll be like speed, weight, fuel, putting diesel in, how much it can take, etc. We've got some other little warning markers and signs. The doors are obviously don't open, but there are a couple of, I think there's a handful of locos that do that in model form, but obviously it's a very difficult thing to do. But they are moulded very nicely, and obviously you can definitely tell it's a door. The glazing is fantastic. The interior detail, there is some there. The glazing is really light, but obviously it's really difficult to see inside there because of how small the windows are. But you can just about see the curved layout of the sort of what is almost a cockpit, and then you can just about see the seats and stuff as well. Working along, we have splendid printed very nice on the side loco. Now obviously you do have the etched nameplates if you want to change those out. Now possibly one of the most iconic features of the 68 model form is the wheels, which look incredible. They look so realistic, and they just look superb when they're going around. The sort of the detail on the bogies is incredible as well. You've got all of the white for the axle boxes, then you've got the steps in the yellow, and that's obviously including the front as well. Sort of warning you that the steps there as well, so it's a good thing. Loads of suspension detail, you can just about see it all moulded nicely. You've even got some separately fitted pipe work, more builder's plates and some numbers and stuff that I have no idea what it means. Obviously under the part of the chassis you've got loads and loads of warning signs, all painted and all printed beautifully in colour. So when you like look at it, it's just like really colourful. Like from this distance, look at it. It just like somebody splattered it with loads of colour, but it's supposed to be there obviously. It's incredibly detailed. Then you've got all this separately fitted. We've got a bit of separately fitted pipework there and some more moulded detail underneath, and it's even tiny. And I don't know what the hell it is. It's like just incredible. Obviously, I know what that means. That's where you fill the loco up. This is the fuel tank. This is the diesel. And then you have all the other separately fitted, all the moulded detail, a bit more separately fitted pipework, and then you've got more printed signs. The grills are obviously not like proper grills, but I think that one looks etched. If not, it's very realistic, but they do look quite realistic. And then obviously you have them on the top as well. We'll run across the roof in a bit. The Transpennine Express logo is printed gorgeous on the side of the logo and in all the lovely colours that it is. And then it says A First Company, so it's part of the first group, and that's printed nice and small, but obviously you can still see it. I mean, I can read it off camera, so it's perfectly printed. Big massive grille at the back, which does again look sort of etched, but not as much as the front one, so don't think that one is. More moulded detail, including the door, separate fitted handrails. We've got the yellow steps again. We've got the number, all the gorgeous livery, and then obviously we've got the orange stripe that runs across the top of the loco, separating the loco itself with the roof. And then we have this sort of grey that runs across the bottom as well. And then we obviously have the gorgeous wheels and the white axle boxes painted with all the pipework, which you can just about see with all the suspension on the bogies themselves. Then you've got more signs and warning labels and stuff at the front. So this sort of purplish colour. It says Stadler Valencia, number 2945 2017. God knows what that means, but who knows. I'm not an expert on these things. And then you have the obviously the overhead live wires warning, because these locos run in the modern day, so there's overhead live wires. Working to the back. Now obviously the buffer beam has been reduced in terms of its detail just a little bit, just so we can have the coupling able to fit. But obviously you've still got these sprung buffers, you've still got the pipework, and then the sort of orange little things, but I have no idea what they are. Picked out, and yeah, still reasonably detailed. And obviously in the detail bag you can get the snow plough to fit on this side, because obviously it doesn't have one because of the coupling. So, but obviously I need the coupling, and I'm not bothered about having another coupling. I don't think there was one in the bag anyway, but there probably is. But obviously you've still got the gorgeous windscreen wiper. I mean, that's just like the coolest thing in the world. It's like so realistic. Obviously you've got the printed Transpennine logo. Then you've got all the orange as well. You've got the horns, and then you've got the lights, which obviously are white when it's travelling towards us, and then red when they're away from us. Which obviously this is the back of the loco, because this is where the coupling is, so they'll be red most of the time. Working on the roof, obviously you've got sort of bits, and then you've got like a "Don't step here" warning sign. Obviously you're not going to walk across the top of the loco, but you never know. You've got these fans, they are etched as well, and they look fantastic. Obviously I don't think they'll spin, and don't think hardly any locos have spinning fans, so they definitely won't. And then you've got loads of moulded detail across the top, including this is where the exhausts are for the engine, and then more moulded detail across the top of the roof. We've got some semi-etched grills. They do look very slightly, but I think they're just moulded, but they're moulded to look etched. They look really good. And then another one of them "Don't step here" signs with the horns on the back as well, on the front. So it's a treasure trove of detail, and just spinning around. It is also incredibly heavy. I will say 668 grams of a locomotive. It's so heavy it's actually put like little indents into the foam that I've put it on for the detail and the detail review, and no loco ever does that, because no loco's heavy enough. It's heavy, it's powerful, and it runs incredibly well, which we'll see very shortly. But that's the detail on the locomotive. I'm not running through any more because I don't think there is any more, but it is incredible, and it takes quite a long time to go through it. But we will get to the running session now, and when the performance look. So there is splendid, the gorgeous Class 68 on the track, and we will just have a quick look at the performance. So obviously, killer power, massive flywheels. The lights work, I'll show you those. So they're red, and then they are white. Now, they will flash on camera probably, but they don't flash in reality, obviously, but that's because the camera can't read lights, as you will know from watching videos where cars and locos have LEDs or something. You will notice that the lights don't pick up. That's because the cameras are just not good enough, basically. So we will have a quick look at the slow speed now. It's very smooth and controlled. Ignore the snow. It's nice and quiet as well. It's the flywheels that mean it won't do an incredible slow speed. But it's smooth and it's quiet and it's running incredibly well at slow speed. That's reasonably slow. I mean, this is a passenger loco and they're pretty quick locos. From slightly uphill on the points there, so that's why it started slowing down a little bit. But it won't go any slower than that, I think, mainly because of the flywheels. Because it picks up there, so it's very difficult to get a lot slower. But then again, it doesn't really matter because who's going to run a Class 68 that slow? And that's on feedback as well, by the way. So your mileage may vary if you're not using a feedback controller. Now this is a non-feedback, which obviously it is slightly quieter because it doesn't have the feedback noise. I can't really get it any slower. It's supremely quiet when it's not on feedback though, and it still runs incredibly well. So eventually I'm going to swap out the feedback and go for non-feedback all round, I think, because obviously I've got cordless locos, so they can't run on it anyway. Which is why I've got a non-feedback and a feedback controller. It's a bit confusing. But yeah, it's running perfectly well on that. So in fact, the controller has a setting on it so you can do slow speed, but it does the slow speed backwards. But if I flick it into forwards, it doesn't do it because it's either going uphill or because it's geared lower, I think, going forward. So yeah, we will get to a running session then. We're going to run the Class 57 with it, which is a little bit smaller loco actually, because they're almost identically positioned. And yeah, it is a little bit small actually. You can just about see that, but it's still 100 grams heavy, 100 grams lighter, but it's still incredibly heavy. So it does clearly show how heavy the 68 actually is. So I will grab some coaches and we will run these together and have a bit of a run session before we conclude the episode. So let's get to it. So there is the TPE Class 67 then, and I've put some Pullmans behind it because obviously this is a heritage railway, so it's not going to be pulling prototypical trains, and I don't have any Transpennine coaches, not even out yet anyway, I don't think they are. And I won't be getting any because firstly they're so expensive, and secondly I don't really like them. I like locos for their liveries and as a heritage fleet, and that's the best thing to do because you can just build up a collection of as many locos as you want, any loco you like. You don't have to stick to a specific time period or anything. So this is like a super modern loco. This is probably the most modern loco I have, and I've got locos from like 1885, for example, that and stuff. I think that's from 1878 actually, and it's my Adams that's from 1880. Yeah, 1878 that. So you think how old the Terrier is, which is in the background, which I didn't even know, to be fair, and I just literally noticed. Compared to this, like this is a couple of years old, and that's 150. So it is what it is, but it's fun, and actually that's preserved, and obviously this is. So they're both still in existence, and most likely that 57 is as well. So because it's West Coast Railway's Northern Bell one. So I mean, I don't have any Northern Bell coaches. I will get some Northern Bell coaches eventually, but I'm not going to get like Transpennine ones or anything. So I don't really care about prototypical trains. So yeah. Anyway, the Class 68 is now going to set off with its train of 3 Pullmans, which is plenty for the first run. Give it a bit of half speed about there. That'll do us nice and fine. We obviously don't need this to be going super quick. And then obviously the 57 coming towards us now, which was over in the background. I moved it just so it's out of the way. It's nice to finally have some passenger diesels though, because obviously my other diesels are the 60 and the 66, and they're not really passenger locos. I mean, I still run the 66 on the odd occasion coaches, but these are proper passenger diesels. So keeping on the 68. Obviously it's got to lug its own weight around, and it's not going that fast, but luckily it's on feedback and the flywheels and the big motor, so it's managing fine. There is the 57. By the way, the lights are supposed to be like that. I did explain that in the review, just in case you're like, oh my god, there's a light out. There's not. The 66 is identical from Batman. It has one running light in white, and then the top one, it's supposed to be like that. If you notice, the 57 in reality will have that as well. But it also has the reds at the back, which you just about probably saw a glimpse of coming around there. So I mean, I know my good friend Kelly Ashford doesn't like diesels, but these are beautiful. The diesels. Look at how vibrantly coloured that is, even from here. It's bright blue and pink and purple and dark blue and silver. It's all like these different livery, like loads of colours in this livery. It's phenomenal. And then obviously I really love a 47/57. And that Northern Bell one's spectacular. I actually bought that the day I picked up the Class 68. I picked them up at the same time. But obviously I wasn't able to have the 68 then. But I bought the 57 myself, obviously, so I was able to have that. But the 68 is a gorgeous locomotive. And I can't believe it was nearly £100 cheaper than the Hush Hush which I got last year. And that's, I mean, I know that's a steam loco, but and it's a lot bigger, but it's lighter, less powerful, most likely anyway. Well, definitely isn't it? It's got 6 driving wheels and it weighs probably about 450 grams, so the 668. They did that deliberately, 668, because it's a Class 68. So, and this one's 531. Which is a lot, and it's still 100 gram lighter than the 68. The 68 is superbly heavy. It's incredibly powerful. I mean, those 3 coaches aren't anything to that. They can pull 40 or 50, including the 57. They can pull a lot as well. So just look at it. And there comes the 68 again, running gorgeous and looking fantastic while doing so as well. Nice to have some diesels on the track for once. It's unusual actually. Like, normally just steam all the time. But I'm building the diesel collection up, so I'm getting a couple more soon, hopefully. I want a 59 by Dapol, new one. Well, maybe an Q scale Deltic. And a couple of other bits, like a 37. I love a 37. Obviously, I want the Network Southeast 47, but unfortunately, they're no longer for sale. I've missed out on those, so I've got to wait and look for those now. I didn't get it when I needed to get it, unfortunately, so that's me a bit screwed for now. If anybody has a old oak common, and you watch this video, and you don't want it, or you don't really need it, I will be willing to buy it off you. So, please get in touch if you have one. Old Oak Common, Batman one, the Kernow exclusive. If you've got it, let me know. And I will definitely be purchasing it off you when I have the cash, etc. obviously. So I will definitely be getting one if somebody has one, because I need one. But until then, obviously, I can still get other 47s and other locos. Like, I want a Super Diesel Class 60 to go along with my old Lima one, which I'm keeping my old Lima one because it's actually a really nice loco, its age. And then I want, obviously, to get a couple of other locos, diesels as well. Obviously, steam is still continuing. I'm not saying I'm diesel mad, but I do like a diesel when they're in a nice livery. I want a very colourful diesel fleet. Just such a crazy livery, I love it. I actually want another 68 now because of how good these are. Probably want the Chiltern one, the silver one. Maybe even a DRS one, because I don't even like DRS's livery that much. But I love it on a 68. There's no livery I really dislike on a 68. I think it looks superb in most colours. But the 57 I was only ever going to get in Northern Bell, because if I'm going to get a nicer sort of livery, it'll just be a 47 because they're almost identical. But obviously the 47s are really difficult to find in Northern Bell livery or West Coast Railways livery, so because I like them in other ones, I thought I'll just get a 57 in Northern Bell, and that's what I was always looking for. And then this came up for super detailed price, and I was like, definitely got to get that, so I did, basically. And the 57 coming round. And that will conclude this video then. The 68 is incredibly beautiful and a definite welcome addition to the collection. Now, more diesels coming in the new year, more steam obviously, and I'm super excited for that. But possibly one of my favourite locomotives in the collection just because of how good it is as an overall package. Now, obviously, it's not going to be perfect, no loco is, but I've not actually found anything wrong with it though. So, it is pretty much perfect. I will say for the cost of 136 quid, they are incredible. And if you want one, definitely go and pick one up. They're 136 quid at Hatton's, or they were when I bought mine. I think they're still the same anyway. So definitely go and pick one up. And if you are a fan of the TP livery, definitely get one. Because these fly out, I believe. When I was chatting to the guy in Hatton's, he said they're really popular just because of the craziness of how great they look and stuff. So they are great locos. Now, I will say, it would be really nice to run the 57 again, because it's not run since a couple of weeks ago. So it's nice to see that back out on the layout with some nicest coaches. So yeah, really enjoyed this one, and I will see you very soon for a couple more videos before the end of the year. So we're going to have the running session with all the locos I bought this year, and then obviously a collection update going into the new year with all the locos. A look at all of the locos in the collection in total, which I think there's 52 or 53. I can't remember. There's over 50. It might be more than that actually. I've not been counting there. But anyway, until then, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Put the notification bell on, etc. so you're alerted when I make a new upload. And until the next video, I will see you very soon for more. Goodbye.